Hello everyone, welcome back to the adventures of Anton Rayne. Looking good. Let's see what this news from Wayland is. Wayland military initiates assault on targets. Remember, they are targeting the British Freedom Front, but they're doing it with a pretty heavy hand, and they're likely to create a bunch of refugees. There are already refugees coming into our country from there. Chief of the Armed Forces, our Chief of the Armed Forces, Vulcan Kruger, reported that the Wessex Armed Forces are moving north towards the town of Vernon. On their way, many British villages were assaulted, and the initial reports indicated a high death toll. As they are approaching closer to the border, Wessex Army's movement will be observed closely. Many displaced refugees from the battles have been seen moving towards the Swedish border. Now, we could have joined Wayland. Wayland basically wanted us to lock the border so they could kill all those people or round them up, and I said I can't be a part of that, which might have been a mistake. Maybe we should have sold the Bloods out, but I just can't do it, and Anton can't do it. He's like, don't you know my name? Because if you remember long ago, when Anton was a soldier in the military, he had pity on refugees that were coming across the border, and he's the same person at heart there. What do we got news-wise? Victory Day celebrations. Jen, the national stronghold of Sordland, is gearing up for a massive celebration of Victory Day. According to the mayor, this year's festivities will be the biggest yet, with politicians from across the country, including El Presidente, expected to attend. Maybe our wife can give another speech? That'd be cool, I guess, maybe. Victory Day, which commemorates the end of the Swedish Civil War, is celebrated throughout Sordland, but the largest and most extravagant celebrations always take place in the cities of Enrica and Jen. According to the mayor, this year even the Enricans will be in awe. Alright, so we got that to look forward to. What else we got? Rayne meets Richter. That happened in the last episode. It was a good meeting. Not really a lot happened. Just Friends Richter has finally said more so that they're going to support our constitutional reforms. We got to get more people on board, I think, though. Ooh, the interesting final paragraph in the little article, though. This meeting could be an indication that the president is truly aiming for democratic reform as opposed to paying lip service or using the opportunity to consolidate his own power. We will know more once the results of the meeting are announced. And I think that kind of happened last time when Richter publicly said he's going to support us. And the Lockhaven Times? Richter backs Rayne's reforms. Right there, you can see. Yeah, we got him on our side. It's time our parties stand together in order to make changes to our outdated constitution, said Richter, calling his party members to give support to the proposal. Despite a complete show of support from PIFJA members, the group's deputy chairman, Mrs. Schuhill, protested Richter's call for bipartisanship and blamed the party leadership for handing Sordland to President Rayne on a silver platter. She was seen leaving the meeting during Richter's speech in protest. What are you talking about? We're giving up power. Richter did say the old guard was trying to influence his party. Maybe she's part of the old guard, which would be weird for her to be in the PIFJAs. What is clear is that with the PIFJA votes, Rayne's chances for successfully passing the reforms in the Assembly just got a lot higher. That's the kind of news I want to read. I want to succeed at that. Let's get some good news, and let's fix our financial problems. What else we got going on? Award a company contract. Is this for the port thing? Wait, why do we have to pay for the contract again? We already had to pay for the thing. We already had to pay to do the port thing. We got to pay another two? The SSC, Underhaul Construction, and Taurus Holding Companies have put forward bids in their hopes of winning the government contract for the ambitious new project. Which company should we pick to lead the project? We already paid two for it. What? Well, I'm not picking Taurus again, because they haven't finished the damn highway. We'll go with Underhaul Construction. What the fuck, game? Do you all remember? There was that other meeting where we had to pay two monies for the port thing. If they had told me you have to pay another two later on... What? Is that the way it was designed? Did I miss something? Or is that something that got patched out later on? We just got fucked, I think. Updates on the situation of education. Sierra, you fucked up! You failed at your reforms. After a meeting with the rector and a brief tour of the University of Volgan, we gathered in a room with Sierra. The entire campus was visible from the windows. Students were reading books, studying, and having picnics under the trees. It reminded me of my own times at Dyer University of Culture, at least the more carefree moments.
Reminiscing about the past?
Yes, it had its ups and downs, but it was still fun.
And now we're growing old and bitter.
Yeah, I'm pissed at you, because you said you were going to fix that shit in education, and you didn't fix anything. I'm surrounded by incompetent ministers other than Lucian. She smiled.
Let's not get sidetracked. I want to start off by saying this. Stagnation doesn't get anyone anywhere. Simply maintaining my ministry's funds got us sitting duck with dozens of issues left unresolved.
Oh, yeah, where am I going to get that money, bitch? We're at -4. I'm going to pull it out of my ass.
The state having to rely on privatization funds is a disgrace. We're letting private interests meddle in the most essential service, learning.
Girl, you told me you were going to do something about the soulless education, and you ain't done shit.
New private schools are increasing the disparity of services in education. Lower-income households who can't afford private school in their district and might need to send their children to a public school far away. Although I insist that the funds are still necessary to close the gaps in service, I can't say we've been entirely off track. I want to thank you for leading our education system in the right direction. Traditional teachings have long prevented proper progress.
I'm not going to say she played a part in this. I'm not going to say that. We just looked last episode, this episode, the education is stuck in the old kind of everybody loves soul. I only did what was necessary. She nodded and brought out a stack of papers from her bag. Spinning her ballpoint pen, she went through the papers, organizing some of them.
Our ministry has prepared the necessary framework regarding how to spend the funds we've gained through school privatization. I have outlined 3 potential options.
Can I just hold that money for a moment? It's not going to be to pay our giant government budget debt or anything. Can I just hold that money? Just let me hold it for a minute.
We can build new rural schools, improve the standards of existing ones, or increase salaries for all education workers. We have the capacity to implement only one of these options.
Tell me about improving rural schools. We know that the rural literacy rate is less than elsewhere. I'm afraid of where we are government budget-wise. I am so mad about the port thing. Why did I have to pay two monies then and the 2 monies now? Ay.
Where to start? At the very least, they need new equipment and materials. Many of these schools are facing shortages of desks and textbooks. The ones that haven't been updated since before the Sol administration.
Great, they can learn about the king. They'll be surprised when they find out we don't have one anymore. It'll be a happy time, I guess.
If the teachers lack the resources to give the Sordish youth a proper education, it can be as bad as if they don't go to school at all.
I feel like that's good enough. I mean, what good is building new schools if we can't even teach the people we already have? She put down the pen and looked at me. Improve rural education by purchasing new materials and upgrading old school equipment.
That will definitely improve the education experience for our children. That's all there is for now. I've talked with Ms. Suno to schedule some time to discuss the curriculum. She's a very astute woman. Your secretary. You may want to consider promoting her.
Livia? Why were you talking to my secretary about that? My secretary's got some real boundary issues.
We'll meet again very soon.
Oh, I wish we wouldn't. See you at the next keep up the good work. Whatever. Sierra put her papers back in her bag and left the meeting room. That is, oh my god. We've got to do something about the budget. This is a problem and a half. Let's look at welfare. Improved rural schools. We got that going for us now. At least the privatization has allowed us to raise the standards of rural schools. The classrooms have become larger and better equipped with modern teaching tools. They're going to finally learn that we have more than like 3 planets. Wow! When did we discover that? This is going to help bridge the gap between rural and urban areas, making education more accessible to all. Now, that is important to Anton. He grew up in the sticks, trying to give people in rural environments more even start in life to match the ones in the urban environment. So that's a good thing. The budget is not. What else we got going on? Overblown rights case appealed. Today, the politically motivated and controversial court case by Ishvel Urson has made its way to the Supreme Court to be reviewed. Remember, Urson is suing because Felix Braun, the governor of Bergia, is trying to forcefully relocate Bloods. His goal of peace is to violate people's civil rights. And so Urson is suing him. All eyes are now on Chief Justice Hawker in the Supreme Court to determine if the case has legal grounds or not. Many justices have already come forward to dispute the claim that the Constitution is not being upheld by the state of Sordland when it comes to the treatment of Bludish people. We'll have to keep an eye on that. New mega project, Morna Port. President Rayne has just announced the plans for a brand new port in Morna. As per the announcement, Underhill Construction has been awarded with the contract, and they will take over the daunting task that will be transforming the city. I should have picked Taurus Holding. That would have been hilarious. You know that company that fucked up before? Why don't we pick them again? On completion, this mega project will provide a much-needed boost to the trade and infrastructure in not just Morna, but the entire Lauren region. What's going on in the Sordland today? Wayland refugees fleeing to the Sordish border. We already know about that. Smolak's men are driving them out of their country into ours. The AN, that's like the United Nations. The AN report states that the international reporters are no longer being allowed inside of Wayland, and the information from the country has become incredibly difficult to obtain. It also explicitly warns the neighboring countries of an uprising refugee crisis. It remains to be seen how the Rayne administration will deal with the influx. Well, we're not going to have any money to deal with it. Alright, so this is more about the Urson case going to the Supreme Court. We just covered that. This is more about the Bloods seeking refuge in our country. According to the latest reports, the number of Wessex Bloods displaced by the operation is at least 100,000. Oh, man. Do you want to help us build a port? Because if we had money, I'd be like trying to get you some tents or something, but oh no, that's going to be a lot. President Rayne has done well with not even accepting a trade deal with a rogue country like Wayland. We all know the saying, even a broken clock is right twice a day. The radical, no matter what we do, is always on our ass. And what do we got in the geopolitico? Press freedoms in the United Cantana, a diminishing space. United Cantana's grip on its media landscape continues to tighten, casting shadows of doubt over the genuineness of information emanating from the UC information space. They're becoming more and more of the party, the dictatorship of the party. Censorship has increased there. In contrast, Volksland media sector displays slightly greater openness, though that's not without its challenges. Geopolitico's recent investigation into alleged human rights abuses in southern Cantana, particularly in Yuristan and Slovare, faced heavy restrictions and controlled narratives. The Red Unity Chronicle also shed light on a case from Zolotek, which disappeared from public view within hours. As the majority in the United Cantana become increasingly skeptical of state-guided media narratives, the clamor for transparency and genuine reporting continues to grow. This is why I want to ally with the West if I haven't destroyed our country building that damn port. Let's read the report. The Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice has reviewed the Urson versus Sordland case. This is the one about the Bloods and Governor Braun. It put forward its concurrence opinion before sending the dispute to the Supreme Court. The Minister of Justice, Nia Morgna, came forward agreeing with the case of Ishvel Urson, and pointed out that a majority court dissent would do disservice to the legal precedent of future constitutional rights cases. The case is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. Alright, what else we got? Energy Inflation Reduction Act. I can't do this. Didn't I already veto this? I could have sworn I already vetoed this. Or is this a different one? No, wait, that was the central bank thing. This is to put a price cap on gas prices and the like. We can't afford it. I can't afford it. We're not doing it. That cost one government money. Some people will probably be mad, but we couldn't afford it. Vetoed, another blow to the people. In vetoing the Energy Inflation Reduction Act, President Anton Rayne has failed the Swedish people. The act, designed to alleviate the rising energy costs, could have offered immediate relief to our citizens. Now, with the energy crisis looming, the veto adds to the uncertainty, leaving the public to bear the brunt of unchecked inflation. It's clear that the pursuit of profit has once again been prioritized over the welfare of the people. No, we ain't got the money for it. We're ridiculously in debt, which I didn't want to be. And another thing about the President vetoes Energy Act. Yeah, I know, it's not a very popular decision I made. What else am I going to do? We're in financial Fucksylvania right now. Can anyone else see that? They're all gonna be like, you didn't have to build that port, but I was just trying to help people. You better not fuck this for me, Underhill Management or whoever. And is our highway system still isn't moving forward. Briefing on the current curriculum in schools. What is the point of this meeting? Like, what is the point of this meeting? Long ago, I met with Sierra, and she said she was going to try and pull the soulless stuff, the pro-soul stuff out, and she failed. Sierra had scheduled a short meeting at the Ministry of Education to discuss the current curriculum taught in schools. The ministry building was located in the government district, right next to the Ministry of Health. It was a tall, narrow, and wedge-shaped, like a slightly opened book. I was just going to say it would be cool if it was book-shaped. Near the front gate, there were many statues of world-renowned scientists and thinkers. The largest, of course, was Arten Einstein, the greatest scientist of all time. More than Newton? Above the main entrance was a familiar inscription, Instrintin sis angidikar. Bunch of crap. Education is the premise of progress in all societies, in all families. Inside the building, I was greeted by Sierra's assistants. They led me to a meeting room where she was waiting inside. She stood and gripped my hand. Don't touch me!
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Sierra.
I'll cut straight to the chase.
That's rare.
The lack of government resources have halted our plans for education reform, but there is one important change that can still be made. It involves evolution versus creationism. Do you want me to get kicked out of office? You're like, I can't get rid of the soulless education. I'm too stupid to fix anything in education, but let's go make everybody mad now. As it currently stands, schools across Sordland can decide whether to include evolution, creationism, or both in their curriculum. Great, problem solved. Rural schools often decide in favor of creationism only, which puts students at a disadvantage when it comes to entering university. The effect is especially noticeable among young women. How does that hurt them? How does that hurt them? What classes do they take where they need to have studied evolution? My suggestion is to make the teaching of evolution mandatory, and preferably ban creationism altogether.
I don't give a fuck what they teach the kids. If they want to teach them that the world came out of my asshole, what the kids need to learn is how to read, how to write, how to do math, and science. That is science. They'll figure out the rest if they can read and write. The last thing we need to do is piss off more people. I don't care. I don't see a problem with teaching our children both theories. You know, you said earlier you wanted children to think for themselves, and then now you say you want to ban different thought theories? Like, that's hypocritical, woman. You're saying you want them to think for themselves if they agree with you. I don't have a problem with teaching them both.
That would be one way to compromise, yes, but does creationism really help open the minds of our children? The way I see it, it promotes the blind acceptance of the world as it is. No facts or verification needed. Children should be encouraged to think critically and ask questions. Creationism and other religious teachings hinder that.
Honey, if you want someone not to be religious, force them to learn religion. That is the quickest way to make someone not religious, is force them to do a thing, not hide it from them. I could be like, what about evolution theory? Why should children blindly accept that? That's not a hill I want to die on. Regardless, I don't believe schools need to ban creationism entirely. I don't see the harm in letting students decide for themselves. You said you want people to think for themselves. It's very convenient. They're thinking for themselves only when they agree with you.
Honestly, I mean, that's a valid arrangement.
What? You agree? You agree?
I can live with that.
Lucian knocked and entered the door. Excuse me, some urgent business kept me away. Do you have 1 government money or 4 that we can pay the debt off, Lucian, with?
Welcome, Mr. Glad.
Mr. President? Ms. Walder? Glad you came. Why were you late? The General Staff had some concerns about the Embark border. I've already provided you with a report. Nothing else. I don't need Lucian's opinion on this. Let's just move forward. Decision made. Glad you came. I need to hear some opinions that make sense, but not about... We already made a decision. Sierra frowned. Oh, very well.
Continuing from my previous point, it is my conviction that we should require the mandatory teaching of evolution in Sordland's public schools and cut creationism out completely. Wait, didn't you just say you're okay with what I said? Whatever. If we want children from rural areas to have the same opportunities as their urban counterparts, this is the way. Opening students' minds and reducing the role of religion in schools will also lead to more equality between young men and young women.
Lucian, can we go buy like a ball gag and shut her up? Don't bring your pet claws into this, Ms. Walder. You failed your reforms, and now you want to remove belief from schools? See, Lucian? I know, that's what I was saying. She failed at what she wanted to do before.
Advancing women's rights is more than just a pet cause. Both of you gentlemen must know that. Also, we all know why the education reforms failed, don't we?
Yeah, 'cause you fucked up. You fucked up. Who was in charge of that? Who's the Minister of Education? Is it Lucian? Nope. Is it me? Nope. It's only one dumb bitch in this room. There might be more than one dumb bitch in the room, but there's only one dumb bitch who's in charge of education. Sierra looked at me. Yes, I could say it's the budget. I could say nothing. No. Yes, and I'm disappointed. I expected more from you. It would be a shame if I had to get a different Minister of Education in the future. Sierra's eyes widened in disbelief, and she opened her mouth to say something, but she didn't. For once, she's speechless. Going back to the topic. Although I myself believe in evolution, we must be careful not to alienate our rural, conservative voter base. We owe a lot to the support. Forcing those school districts to teach evolution could irreparably damage our standing with them.
Every modern nation is reducing or removing creationism in their curriculum, and yet we're supposed to allow students to promote fundamental and sexist ideas from 1,000 years back. How is that sexist? How is that sexist? Like a mammal turning into a whale is sexist? That whale really puts bitches in their places. So is that what we're doing now? Copying what other nations are doing, instead of paving our own way? If it works, why not? Look at the analysis. It's clear that the superpowers are doing something right. Should we reinvent the wheel, Mr. Glade? You speak as if we don't have any we don't import any influences from other countries. Oh, I'm so flustered.
That is not what I said. Their voices started to get louder and louder. I held up my hands for silence. I don't know, man. Like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. I know some people are gonna get bent out of shape about that. In your daily life, does it really matter? When you go to McDonald's, you like, I like a fish witch, where they like, do you think God made a fish, or did it evolve, or did God make it through evolution? You must answer correctly, or you do not get the fish witch. No, it does not affect most people's daily lives. I know people are gonna get bent out of shape by that. Nothing against Charles Darwin. I'm not saying he was wrong about shit at all, but I'm just saying, it's not that big of a deal that people gotta make a big deal about. I don't care what people... You know what? If a kid wants to grow up and read and change their mind, fine. Schools should be able to teach whatever they want in their districts, if that's what the districts want. They want to teach creationism? I don't give a fuck. I can't believe you're ignoring all my arguments. What is the motivation here? To go back to 1739? Yeah, because you weren't born yet. I'm totally down for that, bitch. The motivation is to respect the belief of Sordland's heartland, not foist unwanted teachings on them. Sierra looked me in the eye. Look, Sierra, we're hanging on a very, very thin thread. Our budget is in Shitsylvania. We're trying to fix a recession that is stubborn. We're trying to pass constitutional reform that is super hard to get support for. We cannot afford to alienate people. You know what? If we get the constitutional reform through, if the majority of the people want to change the curriculum in the future to include a lot more evolution, great! That is a battle for another day. Like, you've got to pick your battles. It is your decision! Don't forget, future generations of Sordis youth are counting on you. You think they're going to give a fuck? They'll be like, oh, I learned some stupid shit in school. The kids in rural areas will say that. Kids in urban areas will say that. That's what they're going to say. They're not going to say, thanks this... I could say creationism shall be banned. Nah. I could see teaching evolution shall be mandatory. But schools may promote creationism alongside it if they wish. I mean, that's not a bad idea, but I do not want to fucking alienate people. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for an issue that 5 years from now, my successors, those who come after, can change if they want. We will stick to the current system. Evolution will not be mandatory, and schools that wish to teach creationism may do so exclusively. Let the parents decide, and when the kids grow up, they can decide what they want to believe in. I can't believe this! Oh! This will certainly help us retain our popularity among conservatives. Also, a less educated populace is more easily managed. Lucian, did you? That's not what I was shooting for. You're not helping my cause, brother. Jeez, you said the quiet part out loud. I wasn't even thinking that, but we need support of the conservatives, or we're never getting this constitution through. Or we've got to get every moderate. I can't believe you just said that. Yeah, I can't believe he did either. He just came out and said it. They turned and looked at each other. Lucian lifted his eyebrow, and Sierra held his gaze for a couple of seconds. The meeting ended shortly after. You know what I love? I love meetings that we don't need to have when we need to stabilize this economy. Oh, man. I think that's going to be the end of this episode. Let's go look at this before we leave. Economic stuff. Okay, it's not red news. Oh my god! I think the economy is flat, not flatlined, but it's either slightly up or it's like straight. It's not going down anymore. Lauren, economic region stabilizing. That's where we're building the port. The Lauren region is beginning to stabilize this economy thanks to the investments we've made in the area. That's the port. However, despite these efforts, the region is still facing significant economic challenges that are affecting its ability to thrive. That's okay, that's a step forward, that's a step forward. And England, like, our road to England was supposed to help, but that's been a giant disaster. But the trade deal with Magnolia should be helping it. England economy stabilizing. Thanks to the investments by Sordland, the England region is stabilizing its economy. However, the region is still facing economic challenges and struggles to achieve sustainable growth. Those are massive steps forward. Massive, massive steps forward. Now, Bergia is still in just awful economic standpoint. We might be screwed because of how much we're in debt, but we might actually start to be pulling out of the recession. That is such good news. Some good news. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.